You said you were in the military?
Yeah, 13 years.
13 years? Did you get deployed in combat areas?
Yeah, we had a couple deployments.
Where at?
Iraq.
Iraq. Well, I'm just thinking, you're a big guy. You're a 6'4".
Somewhere up there.
6'4", 250. You've got a firearm on you. You've been in combat. I mean, you've done some serious that most people will never do. So if anyone's going to be willing to go charging in the house and make sure their wife's okay, it would seem to me that it would be you.
I just got home and the board that I have over my back door has been broken. So somebody has forced their way in again, and I still haven't heard back from my wife. I need an officer here now.
All right, we'll get someone out there.
I'm not going to go in or touch anything, but I'm here. I'm in the car, and I got a spotlight on the door.
In the late evening hours of April 7th, 2013, 31-year-old Scott Sunford called 911 with a chilling message. His house had been broken into, and he hadn't heard from his wife. Scott's decision not to enter his house, despite the potential danger to his wife, was eyebrow-raising, to say the least. As officers arrived at the scene and found Scott's wife dead on the floor, they began investigating a case so twisted that it remains unsolved to this day. Desiree Sunford, a 30-year-old art teacher in Yakima, Washington, was known for her dual personality. On the one hand, she was a nerdy, caring teacher, and on the other, she was an adventurous and spontaneous woman with a passion for motorcycles. Desiree and her husband Scott, high school sweethearts, settled in Yakima in 2012. Scott, a 31-year-old National Guard veteran with 13 years of service and 2 Iraq deployments, also worked at a local military training center. Given his background, it's understandable that Desiree believed that Scott would do anything to protect her. Well, she thought wrong. On Saturday, April 6th, 2013, Scott Sunford left Yakima at around 8:30 a.m. to attend a funeral in Tri-Cities, approximately a 2-hour drive away. During the event, he called Desiree to inform her that he would be attending a family dinner at his uncle and aunt's house by 6:30 p.m. He planned to spend the night and return home on Sunday evening. At 3:24, 3:27, and 3:28 a.m., Scott received home security alerts on his phone. He assumed that their dog had triggered the alerts accidentally, so he did not pay much attention to them at the time. By Sunday evening, Scott began his journey back to Yakima. He attempted to call Desiree multiple times during the drive, but he was unable to reach her.
You've reached Desiree Sunford and leaving you a message.
Scott grew increasingly worried, especially recalling the alarms that had gone off earlier in the day. He decided to pull over and call the police, informing them about the situation.
Sheriff's office.
Hi, ma'am. This is Scott Sunford. Today at 3:24, 3:27, and 3:28, I had 3 fences tripped.
Okay, did somebody break into the residence?
I don't know. I've been out of town and I haven't been able to get a hold of the wife.
As soon as I have somebody available, I will send them out to your address, okay?
Okay, thank you.
To make matters worse, when Scott arrived at his house, he noticed that the wooden panels had been broken off. This sight sent him into a panic, and he called the police once more.
I just got home and the board that I have over my back door has been broken. So somebody has forced their way in again, and I still haven't heard back from my wife. I need an officer here now.
All right, we'll get someone out there.
I'm not going to go in or touch anything, but I'm here. I'm in the car, and I got a spotlight on the door.
Upon arriving, the officers found it odd that Scott had not entered the house. He had made no attempt to find out what had happened to his wife. Mind you, Scott was 6'5", fully armed with a .45, and was military-trained personnel. Most importantly, the cops believed that it was unnatural for a husband to wait for the police before trying to reach his wife. An officer went in first, and there he saw Desiree's body lying cold. She had been shot multiple times, with one of the bullets piercing straight through her head. On Monday, April 8, 2013, at 12:05 a.m., the police brought in Scott Sunford for questioning. It isn't unusual for attention to initially be on the spouse of the victim, so this is usually not a cause for alarm. But this time, they wanted to figure out why he didn't storm his house to check on his wife. And it wasn't the answer they were expecting to hear. Before the interrogation began, Scott was seen psyching himself up, evidently preparing for the questioning. It appeared as though he was rehearsing how to come across as believable, rather than displaying visible signs of grief or anger, emotions that one would expect from a man whose wife had just been brutally murdered.
And I headed to the house, and I pulled down the driveway. And I went down the driveway to the left, and I fired up my spotlight, and I pointed it at the back door. I noticed my charger's there, so she must be home. And I put the light up on the back door, and I noticed that the board that I had screwed up there from the previous break-in, the bottom quarter of the board had been broke off. And you could see the window was all messed up again. So immediately I got back on the phone with dispatch, and I told them, my house has been broken into again. My wife is not responding. She should be home, and she's not talking to me. I need somebody here now. Popped up at the end of the driveway, right up there by the dumpster, about halfway to the house, and went around, popped the trunk, and quickly slapped it on before I came down. So I was ready to go. And so they took the gun and patted me down, and they pulled the Surefire flashlight out of my back pocket. I haven't seen that yet. And took whatever else they wanted, and had me sit in the back of one of the cars. And one of the deputies told me that there was a deceased woman inside. And that was all he would say about it. He obviously, I mean, I understand he can't ID her because they don't know her. So I was like, you know, about 30 years old, dark hair, heavy set. Yep. Okay. So I got back over to the police car, and let me backtrack a little bit there as well. As soon as I got to the house and I had the spotlight on the door, before I even called Brian or my dad, after talking to the dispatcher, she'd asked, did you call any of her friends or families to see if she's with them, you know? So I got to thinking about it, and pretty much all of our friends are our friends. You know, we don't really have her friends, my friends kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We're couples, we're friends with couples, we're part of groups. It's kind of how we are. We're together. And the only thing I could think of was, no, I'm sorry. Evidently it's not on silent. Yeah. Oh, it's my dad. He must be here. So, where's I at? Oh, so I get on the phone and I call her mom, and I didn't want to scare her mom, get her worked up or anything. So I just asked her, you know, has Des talked to you today? I've been trying to get a hold of her and haven't gotten anything. No, hasn't talked to me at all. Okay, well, that's kind of strange. All right, well, that's all I wanted to know. And all she said was, okay, well, let me know when you get a hold of her.
While the detective was questioning Scott, he mentioned something interesting.
Okay. So you talked to her yesterday evening for about 7 minutes, and did she indicate that anything was wrong or everything seemed okay?
No, it was fine. I mean, obviously it's a short phone call. It was only 7 minutes, but yeah, it was just a quick hi. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna stay. It's going kind of long. Love you. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. You know.
And you stayed at your dad's in Kennewick?
No, I actually stayed with a friend, but let's see.
What's the friend's name?
Oh, her name's Paige. She's a mutual friend. I guess it was probably about 10 that I got back together at Mary's for the breakfast.
10 a.m. on Sunday morning?
Yeah. And everybody else left out of there at about the same time. We all left slightly after noon.
Where's Paige live?
She's up in Moses Lake, or Warden, actually. Sorry. Same thing.
What's Paige's last name?
Blades.
Do you have a phone number for her?
I'm sure I do. P. Okay, she's a 501 also.
501.
509, I mean, sorry. 431-2273.
How far is Warden from the Tri-Cities?
It's about an hour.
About an hour?
Yeah.
Each way?
It's damn near as long as coming here.
Okay.
But I had to go up there because of the guitars that I had in the trunk. She's a mutual friend of ours for a while. Oh, it's my dad. Or no, that's shit. That's the mother-in-law. At 10:30. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I got two of my friends now that I've gotten started in the music. One of my friends, I got started on bass, and she used to play acoustics, and she was wanting to get back into it a little bit. And so after collecting the guitars up at my dad's house, had to go show her one I thought she'd like. So I got this little Kent. It's probably half as heavy as a normal guitar is. It's just a real slim body, narrow fretboard, quick action, just great beginner guitar.
So when did you drive to Warden?
Probably about 11.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was late.
At this point, the detective's suspicions are already heightened, and Scott's account appears dubious. Why did Scott travel an additional hour to Warden just to show this quote-unquote mutual friend guitars and end up staying the night, when his dad lives in the Tri-Cities where he could have stayed instead?
And what time do you think you arrived at Paige's house?
I'd say 12:30-ish. She had already went and laid down, so I had to go wake her butt up.
And then you said you got back to the Tri-Cities about 10 a.m. on Sunday for breakfast with your family?
Yeah, pretty close. I think it was about 8:45 I left there, so that would put me there about right. Because on the way to Warden, I did the, the Central Washington University Research Area / Warden turnoff by the Scootney Reservoir, out Booker Road.
I'm not very familiar with that area.
Well, I took that route to get to her house, and on the way back, I came down 17, gassed up in Othello, and rolled out from there.
Did Desiree know that you were going to Paige's?
I don't know, honestly.
It's not something you had discussed with her?
No. No, Paige would come stay with us. We'd stay with her.
Was it just a platonic friendship, or did you have a sexual relationship with Paige?
You know, I shouldn't go there because it's kind of rude, but Des didn't want me to say anything to anybody, but she kind of had mixed feelings, and if I'll do anything, but that's one thing I can't provide for her. So at one point, her and Paige had a little thing going for a while there, a little experiment.
Okay, so it was Desiree and Paige who had the sexual relationship?
Yeah.
But not you and Paige? Or
we all did.
Sometimes you and Paige too?
Honestly, we all did.
Okay. So you don't think it would not have bothered Desiree to know that you were going to stay with Paige?
No, and honestly, we didn't even do anything. I was out on the couch anyways, because it's kind of one of those things where as long as we're going to do anything, we need to make sure we all are fine with doing anything. So
it's
everybody stays informed.
All right.
So if there's no information or no previous arrangements made, nothing happens. Avoid hard feelings.
So it sounds like you and Desiree had a pretty open relationship as long as the communication
Generally,
lines
no.
were. No?
Generally, no. Just with her.
Just with her. There was a special relationship with Paige.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the story gets interesting. The lady in question, Paige, is actually Scott's 22-year-old mistress, and he's trying to play it safe by involving Desiree, who isn't here to deny his little lie.
Let's go back to the military experience. You spent 13 years in the military?
Yeah.
What branch?
Army National Guard.
Okay. And you're a mechanic, you said? And you did 2 tours in combat areas?
Yeah.
Okay. What areas of the world were you in?
Iraq, Germany, Kuwait. That's about it.
Was all the combat in Iraq?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see any direct combat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you suffer injuries in combat?
I got blown up a few times, but nothing really. Well, I got shot too, but I was wearing body armor, so it didn't cause any injuries.
Shot and blown up, so you were really in the combat. You were close to the front line?
Well, I mean, when you stop and think about it in the grand scheme of things, not really.
No? How did you get blown up? Was it like some kind of IED or?
Well, okay, one of them was a VBIED. Working a checkpoint, car bomb blows up, people go flying. Another one was an RPG that hit near me and kind of tipped me over, rung the bell a little. And then 3 other ones were in vehicles while I was operating them, roadside IEDs.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's rough. How are you coping with that?
Well, according to the military, I'm what they call mentally resilient.
Mentally resilient, so you're dealing with it. You've talked to the right people at the military, and they feel like you're moving forward with your life. Yeah.
They said I deal with things quite well. I'm very resilient mentally, so.
That's good.
Personally, I've just found that it works really good for me to stand back, to step back away from the problem and look at things from an outside perspective and kind of displace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier to handle things. Yeah. You get a little too close and too involved into it, and it starts to bug you. So, and I kept trying to just kind of stand off and shut up and regain myself and hold it together. It's still not real to me yet.
How long have you been out of the military?
Oh, I've only been out for, I would say end of November, 1st of December.
Oh, so
right in there.
It was recent.
Yeah. Yep, I broke my left femur pretty bad, and I got some titanium in there. And I broke my back and broke my neck and I got 3 bad joints in this shoulder and 4 in this one. So I can't really do any heavy lifting or, working over my head too much. So they put me down as non-retainable and just let my enlistment run out. So I didn't get the boot or anything.
All of that was a result of your injuries and the explosions? All those broken bones and plates?
This one, that one was from Fort Knox. The rest of it was overseas. But, of course, without an actual, I get shot, there's a hole. There it is, it happens. The rest of it, like when I broke my neck, I didn't even know I broke my neck. All I knew is I hit the top of the truck really hard. It hurt. I saw pretty lights and stars. And then I couldn't turn my head more than about that far each direction for a couple of months. And then I got a haircut at one of the Iraqi barbers. They're doing the shoulder rub thing and pop my neck, and next thing I know, my head works fine again. So great.
Wow.
And then after the fact, after I come back and they're doing x-rays, they're like, oh, look, you broke your neck about a year ago. Oh, middle of my deployment. Yeah, I know that one.
So what have you been doing since you got back? Or since you got released from the military?
Throughout the interview, the detective maintains a conversational tone, allowing Scott to speak freely. This approach is typically employed at the beginning of an interrogation to establish rapport before the detective presents direct accusations. However, such accusations are only made when there is evidence implicating the suspect in the murder.
How long have you two been married?
10 in November.
10? Wow.
Yeah. Met in middle school, started dating in high school. And then the first deployment came up, and I got activated and mobilized and sent over to Fort Lewis, and they let us go for Thanksgiving, a little break there for a week. And when I came back on that little break, we decided it'd be a damn good time to go ahead and do it. You know, we'd already been talking about it for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of waiting for the time and the money and everything to go and put together a nice shindig. And it was like, you know what? It just doesn't make sense. I just want to get married now so that if something happens to me when I'm over there, you're guaranteed to be good. Or, you know, if I'm gone and you need to do something, you can. Like, for instance, she had to buy a new car while I was gone. Well, with us being married and her having a power of attorney, it made things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of the thing that finally forced us to do it. Made us hurry up and get it done instead of beating around the bush. But, yep. It was fun.
Yeah.
It just sucked having to take off right away afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back, combat pay built up in the bank. We took off. We went down to Oregon for like a week and a half, and horse rides down the beach, and ate at every place we could. And I showed her all my favorite places down there. Went and fed the sea lions together, and went through the little aquarium and petting the little sea anemones, and
Yeah.
a good time.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Sounds like a great start to the marriage. You guys have Facebook accounts?
Yeah.
Is it under your names?
I think hers is under her email, the Chevy Des one. She uses a lot more than I do. The only thing I really do on there is just kind of log in and check on stuff that other people are posting. I'm not one of those guys that throws a bunch of pictures and comments up.
Yeah, every time you
Yeah.
eat something, you
Right.
put a picture of it. Yeah.
Like, for instance, I got an alert earlier today when my dad tagged me in a timeline something or another, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for lunch at Carl's. Really? I used to get on her all the time because she'd go on there and she'd post something like, you know, getting ready to take off to Moses Lake to go visit my mom for the week. And I'm like, oh, no.
Coming burglarize.
Yeah, don't tell everybody we're gone. Quit it.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
So I got her broke of that habit about a year ago. She's been pretty good.
Now, while Scott doesn't seem visibly affected by Desiree's death, it is important to consider that this could be a coping mechanism. He speaks of her with affection, as if he hasn't fully processed her passing. It's not uncommon for individuals to initially appear unaffected by the death of a loved one, but later experience profound grief as they resume their daily routines and realize the absence of the person. Furthermore, military PTSD can also lead to emotional numbness, so it's plausible that this may be the case with Scott.
What was the status of the alarm? What did you call it? For being you're at home and
Yeah.
motion sensors.
Yeah, there's three statuses. There's disarmed, then there's home away, and that has the motion sensor on and the door sensors on. And then there's home stay, and that means you're in the house with the alarm armed and you're going to be walking around, so no motion sensors.
Okay. And so it was on home stay when you first observed it.
Yes.
And then, but you changed it to home away, thinking that she would hear it chirping or set
Right.
it off or something.
Or she would walk through the room and trip it.
Okay.
And hopefully that would get her attention, and she'd get pissed at me and get on the phone and quit screwing with me. Because as long as it's been on this little trial period, because once they install it, they give you that 1 week to get used to it. As long as it's been on that, the installer was telling us, sometimes couples, the first one up in the morning will set it off because the last one that went to bed armed it for them real quick.
Yeah.
Or the first person to leave will arm it so that when the next person gets up, it'll go off. And
yeah.
It's like, couples like to play with each other with that. So I was kind of doing that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd log on there remotely and turn it on for her. I never did get her, though. I left the house and I passed her on the road one day, and I logged on real quick and armed it knowing that, she's going to be home in like 2 minutes. This is going to be funny. She's going to call me. No, she gets home and disarms it before she even went in. Ruined it.
When you got out there, but it sounds like by the time you actually made it to the house, you were pretty frantic. Like you felt like something had gone wrong.
My stomach was churning. I was shaking. I had convinced myself by that point something had to be wrong.
Okay. And so why not go in the house and check things out and make sure she's okay?
Because I was afraid.
What were you afraid of?
When I saw that back door, I just couldn't decide whether I could deal with what I may or may.
And so you were too afraid of what you might find to go in and check and see if she was all right?
Yeah. I can deal with a lot of things, but I think that's outside of my realms.
So your thought was that she was there and there was something wrong with her and you couldn't deal with it?
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Because otherwise...
She would have called me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just thinking, you're a big guy. You're what, 6'4"?
Somewhere up there.
6'4", 250. You've got a firearm on you. You've been in combat. I mean, you've done some serious shit that most people will never do. So if anyone's going to be willing to go charging in the house and make sure their wife's okay, it would seem to me that it would be you.
Well, it's not that I was afraid of anybody being in there. I'll take on 100 people for her. That's fine.
Yeah.
That wasn't the concern. It was her.
You just don't want to see what may have happened to her.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think you might see if you went inside?
Roll around 1,000 of the worst things you could think of. The only reason I would have been forced to go in there, the only reason I could talk myself into it, was the fear that she still needed me in there. You know what I mean? Because if she was in there and she was hurt and scared or restrained, and I was sitting outside just idly waiting while she's in there going through that alone, that would have killed me.
As a man that has probably seen a bulk of gory things, is it excusable that Scott couldn't face the possibility of his wife's death? Or do you think that's bullshit? Technically, the alarm had gone off many hours before Scott had arrived, so there could be a chance that he felt it was too late. Notably, his lack of urgency to contact the authorities raised questions about his involvement or level of concern.
Other than her relationship with Paige, did she have any other sexual relationships that you know of?
No, a few years ago, actually quite a few years ago, before we were even married, she cheated on me at one point with another guy, but that's long since over with.
When you were dating? She
Yeah.
had an affair? Has she had any affairs since you've been married?
No, not that I know of. She hasn't been good.
Okay. On our break, during the burglary,
Yes.
you mentioned that you had a friend who stayed with you guys who had a possessive boyfriend.
Yep.
And you thought that he may have been responsible for the damage.
Yep.
Who is the friend with the possessive boyfriend?
The friend is Paige. That's how she started staying with us.
Okay.
That's how her and Des started building their relationship. The possessive boyfriend, his name is Dylan Williams. At the time, I left it at that because there was, you hate to point fingers without any justification. You know what I mean? I don't want to make wild accusations. I was just trying to get the guy informed and give him a direction.
Okay. And so Dylan is Paige's boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend? They're not together? Okay. Did he come up at all in your visit with Paige when you drove up there?
Not since we've been at that home.
Okay. But did you talk to Paige about him at all when you were there Saturday night?
No.
Okay.
No.
She didn't mention him?
No. Go back to this little guy for a second. After the robbery, I contacted her to ask her if she thought that he was would have been a good suspect, whatever you want to call it, if he was a concern. And she sent me pictures of his truck, and his truck is a blue truck. And that's his license plate number.
Scott's DNA was collected, and after the interview, he was permitted to return home. Now we will dive into the disturbing person of Paige. But before we do that, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. It helps our channel out a lot. Okay, now you hear this. 15 months after Desiree's murder, the detectives had made no progress with the case when they suddenly received a call from someone claiming to have information about Desiree's murder. The caller in question was Paige Blades, Scott's mistress. On the 30th of July, 2014, Paige, now 24 years old, was brought in for an interview with Detective Sam Parole and Detective Dave Johnson. At the beginning of the interview, Paige appeared bubbly, but as soon as the detectives brought up the case, she went from 0 to 100, immediately starting to quote-unquote cry as if she had rehearsed her script for fake crying.
On the way in.
Okay. Give me just a second. I gotta grab my notes.
All right.
Hi, Paige.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. Hopefully, we won't be seeing very much of each other after this.
Well, I don't know if I should take that as an insult or a compliment.
A compliment.
Okay. You know everything's being recorded now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of expected that.
You're bright. You're bright. As I say, this isn't your first rodeo.
Unfortunately not. I've dealt with a few too many of these things.
So what's your full name?
Paige Camico Mercedes Ackerland Blades.
Okay.
Ackerland being maiden, Blades is my married last name.
Okay. What's your current address?
404 South Maple Avenue, Warden, Washington.
Okay, so it's the same
Yep.
as before. And what's your date of birth?
4/30/89.
Okay. Can you understand we're being recorded right now?
Yes.
And do you have your permission to keep recording?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously the big reason that I wanted to talk to you face to face was that we got a Crime Stoppers tip from you with some new information about the shooting.
Yep.
Did a little research based on the information that you sent us, and found a picture of Marty Grismer. Is that the gentleman that we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind just initialing and putting the date below that? Normally I would do a montage, but you were so specific with your description about who it was that I felt pretty comfortable.
As odd as it sounds, Scott and Paige's relationship continued and had become more exclusive after Desiree's death.
Last week, I had Scott over. He was there for the week. And we were arguing. And Marty, his wife, was my babysitter at one point. And we had been up all night arguing and talking. And I asked Marty to come over and get the baby. So he came over and he picked him up, and everything was fine. Scott was asleep. I told him what was going on. And he asked me if I wanted him to take care of this new woman like he did Des. And I asked him what he was talking about.
Paige claimed that she discovered she was pregnant with Scott's child around March of 2013, approximately 3 weeks before Desiree's murder. She confided in her best friend, Marty, about the pregnancy, and he took matters into his own hands, removing Desiree from the picture so that Paige and Scott could start a life together as a family with their child.
He had an extra clip of some old ammo that he had bought a few years ago. He ran out all of the ammo in his backyard until he had a single clip left. He had a gun. It was untraceable, unregistered, and he said he took it. He made sure that everything was wiped down, completely clean, no fingerprints on anything, none of the bullets, reloaded the clip. He turned his phone off before he left the house. And he took 24 out the back way to Scott's house. Marty was my best friend for a long time. Scott had given him a tour of the house a couple months before, and he knew that I had a key there. He knew that there was a key outside.
Do you know how we knew that?
Because he knew our routine. He knew it was just stuff that we talked about. I was excited about getting the house. I was excited about everything was new, and, you know, it was just stuff that we shared. I never told him where the key was hidden. He said it took him probably 15 minutes to find it. He got the key. He went in the front door because he knew that that was the closest to the bedroom. The alarm went off when he opened the door. And Ada came out barking. Des came out right behind her, and he shot her. He shot her 3 times. She went down. He shot her some more. I don't remember how many bullets he said. It was a full clip. He let her get, 10 or 15 feet away. And he got closer to her as she was trying to crawl away. He wanted to make sure that she had an open casket funeral. He went to the back of the house and moved the board off the window that Scott had put up after the robbery. Oh, that's not awkward at all.
Is that him trying to call you?
That was Scott trying to call me. His dad's here with me. I only told him that I was setting up a meeting with you. I haven't actually talked to him yet.
So he doesn't know the story about Marty? Is he going to react possibly violently, do you think?
That's why I didn't tell him. I waited for him to leave before I even could wrap my brain around the whole thing to put in a tip.
So Scott Jr., he doesn't know any of this yet?
No, all he knows, I sent him a text message yesterday just to tell him that I was setting up a meeting with you.
How close were he and Marty?
I wouldn't say that they were extremely close. Marty was my best friend. Marty and I started dating for a little bit until he found out about Scott, and I told him I couldn't see him anymore. But we were friends. We would go out together and stuff. There's an old lady in Yakima. It's Scott and Dez's old neighbor at the apartment. Marty helped me take care of her. And sometimes him and Scott would get together up in Yakima to talk about that. That was how Marty found the house and got the tour of the house, was because he was up there to see Lori.
Paige had full knowledge of every detail regarding the murder, including the fact that Marty had staged the burglary a few days prior. She also knew that Marty had stolen a jewelry box during the murder to make it appear as though the crime was simply a robbery gone wrong.
I think that he said that he exited the back door, walked out, walked back in to make it look like he had come through the back door. Because it was raining that night. And he wanted to leave. He put the key back in its hiding spot. He went back inside again, grabbed a jewelry box off of her dresser, and he left.
Did he describe the jewelry box?
I think he said it was the little one.
So it's a little, do you know what color it is?
It's brown. I think it had gold trim.
Do you know if there's anything distinctive about it that we would be able to say, yes, that's Desiree's?
I haven't seen it in so long. He said he went home, started a fire in the burn barrel, burned all of the clothes, his shoes, his gloves, got in the shower, got ready for work, and he went to work.
The level of detail provided by Paige is alarming, making the detective suspect that she may have been involved in the murder herself. It's possible that things turned sour between her and Marty, leading her to expose him before he could implicate her. Alternatively, she may have known about the murder long before coming forward and only decided to speak on it now.
I haven't slept very much.
So the first time that he told you this was Wednesday? Last Wednesday?
I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday.
The 23rd?
Yeah.
At your house?
Yes.
And Did he just start going into detail, or did you have to kind of prompt him?
Mostly he just told me everything. I asked if he got away with it. And that's what he told me, that he burned everything and he made sure to take the back way out because there's no cameras on those roads. I remember that he had gotten into a wreck, and at that time he was driving a rental. He wasn't in his normal car.
You don't know where he rented it from, though?
I don't remember if it was our insurance or if it was the dealership that got it for. But I know that it had Utah plates. And it was silver. I think it was.
Paige's subtle switch between stating, "but it was silver," and then saying, "I think it was silver," speaks volumes. It seems that she's attempting to portray herself as merely relaying information she was told. Yet her confidence in storytelling suggests otherwise, implying her involvement as a participant or planner.
At the beginning, you said that Marty brought it up by saying, "Do you want me to take care of this woman like I did the last one?" Which woman was he talking about?
The one that Scott's living with.
Scott's living with another lady right now?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they live?
In Richland.
How long have they been together?
He moved in August or September of last year.
Do you know her name at all?
Johnny.
Do you know her last name?
Cracked, I think. Kracht.
And you said that you've had a baby that you said at that time you thought it was Scott's.
Right.
You think differently now?
My ex made me get a paternity test in December.
And what did that show?
I never found out that it was his.
It's your ex's? Dylan?
Yeah.
Clearly, the child that Marty allegedly murdered Desiree over in order for Paige and Scott to start a family ended up not being Scott's. It appears increasingly likely that things went bad for Paige and she has nothing to protect, prompting her confession.
So how often do you see Scott now?
He usually comes for about a week, once a month.
Did Scott have any idea that Marty was going over there that night?
Not as far as I know.
And had Marty made any comments that would make you think that he was going to do something like that?
No, I know that he always talked about it. He always told me that if I ever had a problem, he would take care of it. And I always told him it was.
Had he offered to kill her before?
He's offered to kill her. He's offered to kill Dylan, Scott. It doesn't matter. If I have a bad day with a coworker, he always tells me there's always Plan B. And
so he's
Plan B.
Just up for killing anybody?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's not been a good week. That's for sure.
If you initiated another conversation with him, do you think he would talk to you about it more?
I'm sure he would. He worships the ground I walk on. He's obsessed with me.
Is that something that you would consider?
That's all I could think about the last 2 days.
What if there was a situation where we could put a wire on you? Would you be willing to talk to him with the wire on?
Yeah.
Because that might be the the most effective way to get it in his own words, because obviously that will mean the most. If he's saying that he did it.
I was going to try and talk to him more on Friday and record. And at the last minute, I decided that I needed to get a hold of you guys before I tried to do anything on my own.
Yeah, you need to be careful about recording people in Washington State because it's a two-party consent state.
That's what I thought.
And if you did it on your own, it may not be admissible because they may say you're still acting on our behalf.
Right.
But if we do it, we'll do it legally, and there's kind of some extensive paperwork that I'd have to go through and some court orders, and we make sure and do it right. We would have surveillance teams in place to keep an eye on you and him.
There was a slight hesitation from Paige when she realized the conversation in question would be wired.
He thought, let me summarize, make sure I understand. He believed that, well, you were pregnant. Mm-hmm. At that time, you thought it was Scott's baby. He believed it was Scott's baby. He thought that Desiree was going to make problems for the two of you. And so he decided the best way to fix that problem was to eliminate her so that you could be happy.
So that we could move forward, yes.
Well, how did he feel about Scott then? Because that's a strong emotional connection if you're willing to kill for someone, yet you weren't with him anymore, right? You guys dated for a short time.
Right, very briefly.
He was okay being your friend and just wanted to make sure that you were happy.
Taken care of.
And that no one bothered you.
He's the one that got me the house. He bought my car outright cash. I still haven't paid him back for it. He pays my insurance. He's done my grocery shopping. He's taken very well care of me.
What does he do for a living?
He's a team lead at the plant that I work at.
I'm sorry?
He's a team lead at the plant that I work at.
In Moses Lake there? Mm-hmm. Does he make that good money?
Yes, it's $25 an hour.
But to take care of your bills and take care of Stella's bills and his new wife?
Before he got married, he had a lot of money. Now that he's married, he doesn't have that much money anymore.
What's the company's name that you work for?
Basic American Foods. He's been working there for 10 years. And he told me one time that he tries to make sure that he has no less than $16,000 in savings at all times. He has money. Or at least had money. The way I understand it, his wife has pretty much bled him dry. She's not a very pleasant.
Paige seems oblivious to the fact that her circle reflects directly on herself. It appears that she sees herself as blameless, but these events would not have unfolded if she had not had an affair with Scott.
Is there any chance that when we pick him up, is there any chance that he's going to say that, yeah, I did this for Paige and she knew about it, she told me to do it?
I think that's always a chance, but I couldn't see him trying to do that. He's always been a very honest person, as far as I know.
And if he did say that, it'd be a total lie. You didn't.
Wow. Yeah.
And the question's got to be asked.
Yeah.
Because it will be asked, as we go forward.
I cried more after Desiree died than Scott did. It hit me a lot harder.
Did you and Scott live together for a while after that?
No, we were pretty inseparable there for probably a month or so. And then his depression kicked in. And we kind of drifted apart. We talked about him moving in. And then he got this new girlfriend or whatever. Moved in with her instead. Again.
So you thought a little bit about wearing a wire. Have you given any thought to when or where the safest place to meet him might be?
We work together, but I would really hate to do it at work.
Yeah, I don't think that probably wouldn't
It would be
very
horrible.
discreet. Yeah.
1,000 different places.
So it wouldn't. You guys are close enough to where you could call him and say, "Hey, meet me here," and it wouldn't be a big deal. You guys
Pretty much
do
yeah.
stuff together.
If I said, hey, I need to see you or I want to talk, he's pretty well. He might have something the wife needs to be done, and then he'll see me. But usually, especially if I can catch him right as he's leaving work, he's usually got some time.
While Paige had previously claimed that she, Scott, and Desiree had a threesome relationship, some chats found on her phone said otherwise. The chats were of Desiree warning her to stay away from her husband, and Desiree saying she knew about their relationship. This chat alone completely debunks the threesome story as a lie.
How often have you seen him since the shooting?
I work with him
You work on him, so you see him
pretty much every day.
Did he seem different after the shooting? Was there anything that strikes you that, this guy just killed somebody? There would be some kind of change or reaction, or did he ever say anything?
There was nothing. He was just very concerned about me. He asked a lot about mine and Scott's plans. He asked a lot about if we were moving forward, what we were doing, how we were doing, stuff like that. But I always just thought that it was him, me, Marty, checking in and seeing how I was doing.
And then the last Wednesday is when he told you.
Right.
And that was at your house. Right. Was there a reason why he was over there that day? Or he just show up? Or?
No, he was picking up the kids.
He's picking up the kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he took both of them because he dropped my oldest one off at the sitter.
Because he was...
Scott and I had been arguing, and I wanted to sleep. So he took the baby overnight.
Okay. His wife usually babysits for you?
She used to babysit for me.
Used to. What's her name?
Elizabeth.
Same last as him?
Yes.
So that was a planned meeting.
That was, yeah.
And so, just to clarify a few more things, did you just blurt it out, or?
I was explaining to him what was going on.
With you and Scott?
Yeah. And he asked me, do you want me to take care of her like I did the last one?
So you were talking to him about Scott and his new gal.
Mm-hmm.
And that you were going to go see Scott that day?
No, Scott was already at my house.
Scott was coming.
He was already there. He was asleep when Marty came.
So he's still seeing somebody else, but he's still seeing you.
Right.
Okay.
He's living with somebody else and still seeing me, yes.
Okay. And how long has that been going on?
August or September of last year he was in for
So
almost 2 years.
So even though Scott's seeing somebody else, you still allow him to stay at your place now and see him?
Yeah.
Okay. And were you about ready to break up with Scott, or tell him this is it?
I've been thinking about it. But relationships end.
So he just offered that he could take care of this other one like he did the last one, referring to Desiree.
Yeah.
The reason Paige was staying with Scott is likely the same reason that she kept her relationship with Marty, for the benefits she was gaining from both men. Paige also claimed that she didn't have a sexual relationship with Marty, but this was found to be a lie, as there were constant exchanges of nudes between the two, and other conversations that indicate a sexual interaction. Now, in her defense, Paige said the nudes were nothing, and claimed she also sent them to Scott, as well as Scott's father, with whom she had allegedly been involved with a couple of times.
So what was the conversation that really probably drew Marty's comments out saying, I can take care of this next one? I mean,
I barely told Marty that night that Scott was living with somebody else.
That's the first time he heard about it?
And I told him that I thought that we were going to be breaking up and that I was tired of the situation. He asked me if I wanted to take care of it.
Did you relay to him your feelings to Scott yet? What were your feelings towards Scott?
He's betrayed my trust. And he knows it. We talked a lot last week.
So why, instead of taking care of this next gal, why not take care of Scott?
He's offered that too. I've always told him no. I've always told him no about everybody.
Did he... I mean, he offers, okay, I'll take care of this other gal and you can have your life with Scott? Is that anything like that, or what?
I think that's what he's trying for.
Even though you were done with Scott, because Scott sleeps around.
And it's not because he sleeps around. That's not the problem. The problem is that he's a liar.
The problem is what?
That he's a liar.
Could Scott have worked any kind of a deal with Marty to take care of Desiree?
I really don't think so.
Did they know each other very well before this?
No, they had only known each other for probably 4 months.
Before this? Before
Desiree.
The detectives ended up wiring Paige up, and she attempted to have a conversation with Marty. However, Marty Grismer lived in Tri-Cities, where he worked as a team lead at Basic American Foods. The detectives traveled down, and on the 13th of November 2014, the police brought in Marty to be interrogated.
You mentioned that you had met Desiree Sunford once. When was that?
I had a friend, Lorene Segalini, over in Yakima. She was a low-income senior. I met her through another friend of mine on the Paige Ackland. And she was not doing too well on there. So I went over to Scott and Des's house on there and talked to them. They were going out of town one time on there. It was the only time they've ever been to the place on there. And I met her in passing. I met Scott many times before that, but I never ran into his wife because we never had any functions or anything together.
Okay. And when was that you went to the house and saw her?
I think March of last year.
March 13. Okay. Were they living in their house or their apartment?
They lived in the house.
Okay. What kind of house was it?
I think it was just, I'm not sure if it was double wide. I think it was a manufactured home.
Okay.
I know I was out in the country, though, because it took me a while to find the place. But.
Okay. And so you met Scott, you knew Scott because you had seen him several times?
I've ran into him before on there. He's been an acquaintance on there, a friend of mine off and on. So.
Okay. And how did you meet Scott?
Through Paige.
Okay. How long have you known Scott?
I would say probably at this point now about a year and a half off and on there. It's just kind of an acquaintance, not really anything more than that. Okay. Just knowing of him more than anything. Not
real close.
You
guys socialize?
A few times, not very often.
Okay.
We have mutual friends and all that, so I've gone out to dinners with him and Stella and Paige, and my wife and him and us and Paige and Stella have gone out, and just a group of friends going out usually.
Okay. So Paige is kind of the mutual link between you and Scott?
I would say yes.
Okay.
She introduced us, so.
Okay. She introduced you about a year and a half ago, you said?
And shortly after I met her, so yeah, I would say around Christmas of the year before.
Okay.
Christmas of 2012, November, somewhere in that time frame.
The detectives begin asking Marty questions about Desiree, Scott, and Paige. They hope that Marty will slip up and make incriminating statements or quickly shift blame to someone else, as many guilty suspects tend to do.
Did you hear Paige and Scott talk about Scott's relationship with Desiree and Paige's relationship with Desiree? Were you aware of that whole love triangle that was going on?
Yes, Paige told me about that.
Okay. What kind of things did she tell you?
Just past sexual activity on there, that they'd lived together, that they had a polyamorphous relationship or whatever on there, where they were all, together at different times. So Paige said that Scott, Desiree, and Paige were all involved in sexual. That was the indication I got, either right or wrong on there.
Okay.
So.
And did Paige? It's my understanding that Paige and Desiree had a falling out.
I guess, to an extent, yeah. I don't know over what. I don't know if she didn't want to continue on with that or not. I don't know. That was before I knew them. So, because I think it was before I knew them.
The falling out was before?
I believe so, but I don't know. Again, I never met Desiree before that one time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But I'm just curious what Paige had to say about it. How did Paige feel about Desiree after the falling out?
I think she was hurt by it. I know that Paige has an unusual relationship with Scott on there. When I was kind of codependent. I always thought that she kind of invested a lot of her emotional security in Scott, and that because she talked about things on there, it's like she was obsessed with him being the anchor for her emotional happiness and things. But then again, I think that kind of faded over time. She kind of finally woke up. I don't know if they're still together or not, because Paige and I have had kind of a falling out over things. She's caused some problems between me and my wife, and then me at work. So.
Okay. Did you ever hear Paige or Scott talk about wanting to hurt Desiree, or wanting Desiree gone, or wanting her out of the picture?
Nothing specifically, no. I can't think of.
Non-specifically, did they make general comments about
eventually divorcing her, things like that, a couple times on there, but nothing that was, just specific. It was just, conversation about.
So Scott said that he wanted to.
I think Paige had said on there, that she wanted him to divorce his wife, or figure out some way to get away from her and things like that. But I don't know. It wasn't again anything specific, and this was a long time ago. I don't recall every conversation from a year and a half ago.
So you only met everybody, or at least not necessarily Paige, but Scott and Desiree, December, around Christmas of 2012.
Yeah.
And then she passed away in April of 2013. So those conversations before she passed away?
Those conversations were before.
Not the divorce.
Well, it was just them having problems and different things on there. So, in the past. So, I didn't know what had been either rectified, or I don't know if that was talked from, far before that, because, we would go out, have coffee after work or things like that and talk. So.
And you said that Paige was pretty emotionally attached to Scott. Was that more of a one-sided relationship, her more into Scott than Scott into Paige?
I think it was kind of equal on this. I know he came to spend time with her frequently.
Okay.
So I don't know how much Des knew about that, or anyone knew about that, because we've got the feeling they were kind of hiding being together for a long time. Because I don't think that he was, in a position to end anything on there. Didn't want her to find out. That was just the feeling I got.
Okay.
So.
You got the impression that there was a time when Paige felt like her happiness depended on being with Scott. So if she couldn't be with Scott, she couldn't be happy?
Well, I think more that it was that she has a lot of, I know that she has a lot of, issues on those things, mental problems that she doesn't have treated on. At least that's what she told me before, that she doesn't take medication for anything on there. But that she had always kind of viewed her conversations with Scott and the relationship as being therapeutic for her on there, to help give her a sense of normalcy on there, not to go to be depressed or anything like that, especially with the children and the children she's had taken away from her. So,
what kind of mental problems did she talk about?
Just mostly depression on there. I think bipolar she had indicated on there, but that was about it.
Okay.
And she indicated that she wasn't taking any medication for it on there, trauma from her past and things. Could always kind of describe it by consider like PTSD type issues.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, Scott talked about getting a divorce from Desiree, but did you ever hear him talking about wanting to hurt Desiree or wanting her gone or out of the picture?
No, I never did.
Okay.
He just talked about wanting to leave her and things like that, just because he was kind of unhappy with things, but just never really could and never got to that point.
Okay. And did you ever hear Paige say anything about wanting Desiree out of the picture, or?
Well, just to the extent that it would make the relationship easier on there, but she was going on with multiple different people on this. I don't know.
Did she talk about how she would get her out of the picture?
No, I never got any indication of violence from her before.
So what was she talking strictly divorce?
Well, I don't know if it was that or if it was just, trying to expose things just to get Desiree to pick fights and get her to leave him. I don't know.
Expose what kind of things?
Well, either Scott's infidelity or Scott lying to her, different things like that. Trying to engineer some sort of an argument scenario where Des would leave him. That was always kind of the impression I got, that she would try to manipulate the scenario to control it so that Des would initiate things on this so that Scott would have save face.
So she was trying to drive a wedge in between them, kind of?
Well, I think, yeah, he was doing a pretty good job of it himself by, lying to his wife and cheating on her and everything else on it, because I got that impression that he was doing that.
Marty's testimony here confirms the police's suspicion all along. Scott and Paige's relationship was against Desiree's wishes. It's even more disturbing when you realize that Scott lied about a dead woman who couldn't defend herself.
What's your relationship with Paige?
It's been complicated over the years. I mean, she was the best man at my wedding. So, I mean, she was my best friend for a while there. And then recently we've had a falling out over different things on there. She was hurt that I got married to my wife, and we were a babysitter for a while, and my wife didn't want to be a babysitter anymore. Then she stopped talking to me for a month and a half and just kind of started cutting off contact and ties and all that. So.
You said she was the best man at your wedding?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She was my best friend, so I had her be my best man.
Okay. All right. That's the first.
Well, she was pregnant with Philip at the time, too. So she was a pregnant best man.
All right.
So.
Were you two involved in a sexual relationship at one time?
Not exactly, no. We just fooled around a bit on there early on, but I think she was kind of just using me as cover for hiding relationships with Scott and other things, so that ended very quickly.
So, not exactly, you guys didn't have intercourse, but you guys do other things?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay. And when was that going on?
That was going on until about December of 2012.
Okay.
That was shortly after we met. From November through December, we had a couple of encounters on there, and then after that, it would be, give her a massage here and there, things like that when she was stressed. That was pretty much it.
Okay. And when did you marry your wife?
September of 2013.
Okay.
So this all ended that aspect before that.
Okay. And then, so were you dating your wife during that same period? Like just
oh no, my wife and I only met in the middle of June of 2013.
Okay. Oh, so quick love at first sight?
Absolutely.
Met June and then married?
It was around June. So, we met on a dating site, and then we met.
Oh, okay.
So we dated and fell in love and just got married.
Okay.
I love her and Corbin to death on there.
Corbin,
he was a little boy. It's
he's your stepson. So she brought him to the marriage. Yeah, he's a cute kid. He looks enough like you. I believe he was your son.
He's an amazing kid. I love him to death.
Yeah.
I live for him and Beth on there, trying to provide for them. It's been stressful here because what happened at work on there. I've had 2 suspensions here and layoffs on there, and it's been hard.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the suspensions. You work at Basic American Foods, and so does Paige. Mm-hmm. And as I was doing my research, trying to figure out who you are or where you'd be, where I could contact you. I called down there and talked to Basic American Foods, and they said that you were suspended from work for having gun parts.
Yeah.
At work. Okay, tell me about that. What kind of gun parts are we talking about?
I had a gun barrel that I left there.
A gun barrel?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other parts?
That was it, I believe.
Okay, just the barrel. What kind of barrel is it?
I don't recall what kind it was offhand.
Don't remember the brand?
No, I don't.
Okay. And where is that barrel from?
It was just a spare part I had that I was selling.
Okay. And so how did it end up at work?
I had a seller fault that I had contacted, and they backed out. A buyer backed out on it. This was after my first suspension on there, because I was trying to liquidate some assets, and I was having a really bad day that day, and I was going to sell off some of my parts, and that was a day that my dad helped me out on there, because I was going to sell off all my guns and try to make rent, try to pay off my bills. And
so you weren't getting paid while you were on suspension?
No.
Okay.
I was going to sell off pretty much all my guns and try to make it. I mean, before I got my wife and before everything on there, I bought my car outright. I was going to school, and then I paid off a lot of debts and a lot of different things on there, just trying to get her head above water and then try to get things taken care of on there. And my job, when I had the team lead job, I was just surviving month to month on their things. And I got a pay cut here of $300 a paycheck every 2 weeks. I've lost $600 a month there.
I know that hurts.
It does a lot. And I'm going from looking at the place where I'm at right now to I'm going to have to try to get low-income apartments, or I'm going to have to move over to the Yakima area, see where I live with my in-laws over there, try to find a different job.
So when did you first take the gun barrel to work then?
I took it to work after my last suspension because I had it with me. It was a part I picked up I was going to sell.
Okay. And who did you get it from?
I don't recall. I've had it for like a year or so. I got it from a person in trade.
How long you had? I'm sorry.
It was around a year, a little bit less, I think.
Less than a year?
Yeah. Again, I bought and sold and traded gun parts from people.
So you didn't buy it new?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall who you traded it for or who you bought it from?
I know I bought it from someone locally here. I just don't recall because it was just we were swapping a whole bunch of parts between different things. So
you have no idea. So about when did you take possession of it?
I think it was August or September of last year. It was around the time I got married.
The detectives asked Grismer some questions about the rifle. They wanted to see if Grismer would try and implicate Scott and Paige. Well, here's what he said.
Is there any chance that you got that barrel from Paige or Scott?
It's possible, but I don't recall. I've gotten some things from Scott offhand, but I don't recall if I got.
You've gotten gun parts from Scott?
I asked him for ammunition, different things on it, because he showed me guns that he had and ammunition on there. But again, I don't recall specifically on there. I don't recall if I got it from him or an acquaintance of his. So.
Could you have gotten it from Paige?
It's possible, but I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. No. I don't think I've ever gotten anything from Paige.
Or Scott?
Well, Scott, I believe I have, but again, it's been so long I don't recall specifically.
You've gotten gun parts from Scott?
I believe I've investigated ammunition from him. I don't recall if I ever got any from him or not. I think I got some once or twice on that. I don't recall if I got this from him or not.
You got ammunition from Scott?
Well, I wanted ammunition, different things on there because he was in the military. I was kind of picked his brain about that because that was his kind of specialty on there. So,
Did you ever get a gun barrel from Scott?
I don't recall if I did or didn't.
Okay. If I said that this was a lone wolf barrel, would that ring a bell?
It might on there. Could be. I don't recall if it is or isn't though.
I saw a picture of it. It's got a wolf etched on the top of it.
Okay.
And I have a lone wolf barrel in my gun. That's how I know. I recognize the logo.
It could be. I don't recall. I mean, I've bought a lot of gun parts over the years. I've had a lot. So.
Did you ever buy new gun barrels from Lone Wolf?
I think I have before. I don't know if I've had one like this before or not.
So if I did a search warrant with Lone Wolf and asked them for all your purchases, is there a chance that this gun barrel is going to show up as being bought new by you?
It's possible on me. I don't recall if this is one I've had before or not. Again, I bought before on there. I've traded parts and gotten the same ones back before. I don't know if this is or isn't.
And you're not sure this could have come from Scott, but you don't know?
I don't know. Again, with all the parts I've had, I don't know where all of them have come from exactly on this best recollection on there. And this is, I've had other ones that I've gotten before, traded in, traded out. So I don't know where this one or any of them have come from specifically.
Marty's trying to play it safe. He seems aware that he can't be caught lying if he never admits to anything in the first place. However, his tactics can't last long.
Did you have this barrel last May during the period when Desiree was shot?
Last May?
April?
I don't believe so.
April 2013, just to be clear.
I don't believe I had any pistol barrels in my possession at that time, no, besides what was in my gun.
Was this barrel ever in your gun?
No.
It's never been in there?
No, I've never put that barrel in my gun.
So if we get your Glock out of your wife's car and put this barrel in it, ballistically, they should be able to tell from the wear marks on the barrel whether or not it was in that gun, whether it's fired rounds. Do you think it's going to show that that barrel's been in your gun?
I don't believe so, no.
Have you ever swapped out the ejector on your gun?
The ejector?
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't.
So the ejector is the same as when you bought it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever offer to kill Desiree Sunford for Paige?
No, I haven't. I've never offered to kill anyone for anything. It's not in my nature.
Have you ever discussed killing her with Paige?
No.
Did she ever ask you to kill Desiree Sunford?
No.
Did Scott ever ask you to kill Desiree Sunford?
No one's ever asked me to kill anyone. I wouldn't. I've never thrown a punch in anger in my life. I wouldn't kill anyone. It's not who I am. I mean, you can ask my wife or anything on them. I avoid confrontation. I'm non-violent when it comes to things. I've never... I'm a pacifist when it comes to a lot of things. I like guns because I like the mechanics of them.
Have you ever told Paige that you would take care of anyone for her, or anyone that makes her mad, you'd take them out for you?
No.
Where the problem comes in, the difficulty for you is that Paige is saying that you are the one who shot and killed Desiree Sunford. She said that you confessed that to her. And she came in and gave a taped statement to that effect.
I can't believe that bitch is doing that. I mean, she accused me of sexual harassment at work on there after propositioning me, a month before that. And trying to ruin my fucking life here, or what?
So this is the situation that we're in. And this is why you seem to have a decent understanding of when you got that barrel, but you don't recall where. So you need to rack your brain and help us figure out where you got that barrel. Okay? Because Paige has put you smack in the middle of a murder investigation.
Just trying to ruin my life here. I mean,
this would be a good way to go about it.
Your life is about ready to change depending on the answers you're giving us.
I know that.
That's how serious this is.
I understand that because I haven't done anything wrong on her, but she's trying to engineer, set me up here, do something. I was saying to you that that killed someone, that.
Is it possible that Paige recruited you into a scheme and then just threw you under the bus?
I definitely feel thrown under the bus, but I don't know.
Grismer is about to get the surprise of his life. He still believes the detectives have nothing on him, but little does he know that his office has been searched, The gun part found there has already been run through forensics, confirming that it was the one used in killing Desiree.
Where it gets even worse for you is this gun barrel that we've been talking about. That's the gun barrel that was in the gun that killed Desiree Sunford. I've already retrieved that gun barrel from Basic American Foods, and I've already had the ballistic analysis done on it. And the slugs that were pulled from Desiree's body came from that gun.
How? Well, that's the big question. You have the barrel that the bullets came out of that killed her. There's no question. So we need the truth. And we need it now. Give it up.
I've had that bill for a while on there. I did get it back after on there. I did let Paige borrow the gun earlier last year. She had the gun. She had that bill on there. She asked me if I had a different one before on there. I didn't know what she wanted it for.
So you loaned the gun to Paige?
I loaned the gun to her early last year. This was around February on there. She had it for a while.
And that's the barrel that was in the gun when you loaned it to her?
That was the barrel she asked for. She asked if I had one that was threaded on there. That was one I had because I originally wanted to buy a silencer a few years ago, but I never did after the law changed.
When did you get it back from her?
I got back about the end of March. I didn't know if anything had happened to all that. She asked me to try to get rid of stuff on
End of March?
Yeah.
Of last year or this year?
2013. That was not March, sorry. May.
I'm sorry?
May, sorry.
May of 2013? Not March?
Yeah.
Okay.
I assumed she just wanted it for home defense or something on there. I thought the threading was odd that she wanted one that was threaded. I always kind of thought maybe something had happened, but I didn't ever think anything was capable of it.
The tables immediately turn. Realizing that he's been thrown under the bus, Grismer immediately switches his storyline, trying to claim Paige had actually used the gun. Unfortunately, it's too late, and it clearly looks like a poor attempt at damage control.
Did she tell you what she wanted to borrow the gun for?
She just said she wanted a gun. She just said she wanted a gun on the... God. It was such an awful help.
So you're saying she got the gun in February of 13, gave it back to you in May of 13? Did you ever go shooting that gun with her?
I've never gone shooting with Paige. She asked multiple times on there for me to take her shooting or to go shooting on, and I never did.
Around April of 2013, were you driving a rental car for a while?
Yeah, my car was in the shop.
What kind of rental car were you driving?
I think it was a Chevy, but I don't.
What color was it?
I think it was black or blue.
Where did you rent it from?
I didn't rent it. The insurance company did.
But was it your Moses Lake or somewhere else?
They dropped it off. I think they rented it here. I remember I dropped it back off at the airport.
Which insurance company?
Currently it's nationwide, but I think I had either Geico or Progressive at the time. Why does that?
Geico or Progressive, you thought?
I think it's, I don't recall. I've changed insurance.
Which rental outfit did you drop it off with at the airport?
The one by the fuel tanks, I think it's Hertz, but I don't know. Why?
Did that car drive to Yakima on the night of April 6th, morning of April 7th, 2013?
I don't know. I didn't have the car that night.
Who had it?
I was asleep at my house. Paige asked to borrow the car.
Things have taken an interesting turn. Is it possible that Paige had killed Desiree and she pinned it on Marty, since he clearly had no reason to kill Desiree?
Tell us about that.
It was a night I didn't sleep well, so she asked to borrow the car. She said she wanted to make a trip on it. Something was wrong with her car, she said. So she asked she could borrow the car. I didn't feel good about it, but she borrowed the car. She said she would drop it back off at the house and said she had to ride back to her place.
How'd she get to your place?
She dropped me back off. It was like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock or so. She asked me to come see her. She wanted to talk.
So how did you take it to Warden, or did she come up?
I lived in Warden at the time.
Oh, you lived in Warden at the time?
Yeah, I lived outside of Warden, so just 5 minutes from her, so we would spend time together quite often.
So you were living at your dad's house at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And she contacted you and asked you to come over?
Mm-hmm. So she wanted to talk, and then we got there, she asked if she could borrow the car. She talked about borrowing the car before on there. I always kind of said no, but I'd let Stella and other people borrow my car. So
what other kind of stuff did she want to talk to you about? Why did she call you over there? Was it just to borrow the car?
It was just to borrow the car, and she wanted a bit of money.
Okay. How much money?
I think it was like 40 or 60 bucks. She's gotten a lot of money out of me over the years, but...
What time of night is this? Or during the day, night?
It was... I was just getting ready to go to bed. I think I worked day shift the next day. It was really late, so probably around 9, 10 o'clock.
And where did she say she wanted to take it?
She didn't. She said she wanted to go out of town with it.
She didn't say where?
No.
Did she say anything about Scott? Or Scott coming over to her house?
No, she said something about the Tri-Cities with Scott, but...
While being asked about the condition of the rental car and whether there were signs of blood on it upon his return, Marty made a statement that the detectives overlooked.
It wasn't dirty or no like blood on the steering wheel or anything like that?
No, the car was clean as far as I could tell. It had been raining, so...
Gas tank empty, full, fire full.
I assume that's what she wanted to use the money for, was gas money. I think it was like half full, so when I gave it to her, it was about the same. When I got it back, it was a little fuller, actually. So I assume she put gas into it. You know, I bought her that car that she has right now. I've given her... She owes me $10,000 on there for everything on there. It's just...
Is there any chance that you took a drive with Paige that night?
No. I was in my bed on there. I didn't sleep well that night. I was tossing and turning a lot.
Why?
I had a lot of insomnia, a lot of different things. I often don't sleep well. I haven't slept well since I was a little kid.
It seems that the detectives haven't been swayed by Grismer's attempts to defend himself, so they adopt the Reed interrogation tactic of positive confrontation.
From the beginning of this conversation, as soon as you sat down, your heart's been about ready to jump out of your throat. Okay? We can see that from here. I can see it from here. Okay? If I were to take your pulse right now, it'd be off the record probably. Okay, you knew exactly what we wanted to talk to you about when you sat down. Okay, you've been trying to think what's going on over the next hour. That's almost as long as we've been here. Okay, you denied a lot of things. All of a sudden, things got real clear when we brought things to your attention. This is not our first rodeo.
No, you've done this a lot.
Okay, we've been doing this a very long time. And you want to come out with the truth. I can tell that. Okay? You're not a good liar. Okay? You're starting to tell the truth, and we appreciate that. But then you're starting to drift off, trying to think. Okay? That's what gets you in trouble. You need to stay on track and tell the truth. Lying is not going to help you at all. It's not like when we ask these questions, we don't know about things, because we already do. I mean, we blew you out of the water about the rental car. How do you know about that?
I was wondering why.
Usually our job is we're asking questions.
You already know the answers.
We already know the answers. So you shouldn't deviate from that.
I know.
Okay?
Because it could be my life if I do.
Your life is on the line right now. So, Paige borrowed the car.
Yes.
And you never left with her?
No, I was in Warden all the time. But...
Was your dad home at the time? Can we confirm that you were at your dad's that night?
I don't know if he was home or not. You could probably check with his trucking company to see where he was at. They all have Qualcomm's. He's getting the Swift.
And we know that that barrel was used in the murder. Okay? And we both strongly believe that you were involved in that murder. Very strongly, we believe that.
I've never killed anyone.
But you know who killed her.
Were you present?
No. I was not there. I was at home. I thought that maybe something had happened. Maybe she arranged something on there. But I never wanted to believe it because, honestly, I've loved her. I loved Paige for a long time. I never wanted to think that anything bad had happened or that she'd done something.
Grismer begins making a poor attempt at setting the scene around Paige. Let's see how that works for him.
Do you recall a conversation at the end of July with Paige at the Starbucks over on 17?
Yeah.
And do you recall her talking about this incident and asking you about evidence?
I told her I had done nothing on it. Because she kept kind of insinuating on that. I thought she was just joking around on stuff.
What did you think she was talking about?
I thought she was trying to either razz me or get me unsettled or something on there.
During that conversation, you told Paige that she was confusing dreams with reality. What did you mean by that?
That she's often, before she's gotten confused about things with me and her.
So you think she's just confused about this? That
I think she's trying to pin something on me or use me as a scapegoat or patsy at this point. But I think she's used me.
Why would she be so pissed off at you to throw you under the bus for a murder?
I think she's always wanted me to be there to take care of her in case Scott ever ran out on her or ever left her.
But Scott's not with her. Scott's with another woman.
She felt betrayed when I got married. She didn't want me to get married. She even, was texting back and forth and told that to work on there because she said that, two people that she loved most on there were me and Scott, and that we both betrayed her. I think she felt betrayed by me getting married.
But you've always been her protector. Get her bills, loan her money, always there for her.
You forgot fixing up her house, fixing up her plumbing, finding her a place to live, moving her butt in there. Moving stuff out of storages for her when the bills were running out on there. Without bankrupting myself to take care of her on there because I did love her.
Right, you're always her protector. And Paige appreciated that.
She did until the money started running out.
But you've always been there for her. If somebody crossed her, you took care of it. You made comments. Hey, you want me to take care of that? You want me to take care of them? And all of a sudden, Desiree's dead. She was a problem with Scott and Paige's relationship.
While Grismer has not admitted to the crime, he has also made no attempt to confidently deny the claims, as an innocent person typically would. In fact, his calm demeanor and subtle denial signal that at least some of what the detective is saying may be true. Grismer appears to be torn between accepting the truth and making a firm denial.
I've given her help. I've tried to be there for her because I wanted a relationship with her. I've been a fool for trying that because every single person in my life, everyone out there where I worked, everyone told me to stay away from her. Like a moth to a flame, I kept going back and trying to help her, even after her own mother told me you probably shouldn't be her friend anymore. I've tried to help her on there. I've taken care of things by giving her money, by trying to help out her friends, doing things like that for her. That's how I've taken care of things for her. I was taking care of things for her financially. I took her and her friends out to meals and dinners and things like that. I was fucking banking for them. That's how I got to know Stella and Deborah and all these people. I didn't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of friends on there. And I've tried to help. I've tried to help Paige because I thought she was a mother and a person on there that needed help. I thought she was in a bad relationship with Dylan. I thought she was in a relationship with Dylan on there. I tried to help her with that, tried to help get her out, tried to get her a different place to stay, different places to live. I was living with my dad, so I couldn't move her in then, otherwise I probably would have tried to then. And she wanted me to find her a place to live, so I found her a place to live on there. And I helped out with other friends and other things on there by, helping her pay off her debts and other things on there. She spent money left and right on there for things. Never had money to feed her kids and everything like that, so I put groceries in her house. Because I fell in love with Cloud and I fell in love with Philip on there. Because I wanted them to have a better life on there than just nothing. I didn't want them to be taken away from her because I worried what would happen to her. Because I knew what her first husband had done to her. He'd taken her daughter from her. And that had nearly ended her on there. And I knew the second person that she had a kid with on there, just up and left, I left with Cloud. And the third person that she got involved with on there left with Dante. And he got taken away by his father on there. I always wanted to help on there because I thought that she was a beautiful person on there that had a really shitty life. And all I tried to do was give her anything that she asked for from me. Anything financially I could do, anything physically I could do to help give her shelter, give her comfort.
You gave her your Glock to commit murder.
She asked for the gun.
She asked for the gun.
I thought she wanted it for protection.
If after everything you've done for her, after all the money, blood, sweat, tears, and love that you gave to her, and she turned around and fucked you over, maybe if she drew you into driving her to Yakima in your rental car and you didn't know what was going to go bad, now's the time to tell us.
I wasn't there. I didn't go to Yakima.
You gave her the gun, you gave her the car, and she's saying that No, you did this. You did that. You drove the rim cardiac. It was your gun.
Grismer is being offered the chance to confess, and we see the detectives framing the narrative around him. Grismer, however, is not fighting it. Instead, he appears focused on the betrayal.
Because she's already told me, Paige has already told me that Stella knows all about it.
Of course she would say that. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
So what's the story?
I don't know what Paige would have said. I don't know what story she's told Stella.
I want the truth. I want what you know or what you've heard. What have you heard from Paige? What have you seen from Paige? Stop. You're still holding stuff back. I can see it. Well, you need to drop that shit real quick, because that little boy that was in the doorway when we picked you up, you want to go home to him at some point, right?
Yes, I do. Of course I do.
So now,
him and my wife.
So who is more important to you, Paige or that little boy?
That little boy's my world.
Then give up the world with Paige and tell us the truth. We can see you're holding it back. I can put you on a polygraph right now and you're dropping. I'm going to do well.
I know.
So come on. The time is now to give up Paige and think about that little guy and your wife and your future. Like I told you in the beginning, it hangs on you for your future. Protecting Paige is not helping you at all.
I never wanted to know too much about what had happened. I didn't want to know because I didn't want to think that what I do know, what she has indicated on there, was that she had this arranged for someone to do it. I always thought that was Dylan in all likelihood because he shot people for her before, apparently. That there's some incidents where someone came after him when they were living here and he had killed someone or shot someone on there, she had said, and that he would always defend her. I always kind of figured she had arranged for him to go, her to go, or someone to go and do this.
So that story doesn't wash water because we know what's going on with Dylan and we know that he was involved in a homicide. So don't try to blame it on him.
I'm not trying to blame him. I'm just saying that's what I'd always thought. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Dylan is Paige's former boyfriend, the one who fathered the baby she initially thought was Scott's. Dylan was also Scott's initial suspect for the burglary due to his violent history.
I don't know who did it. I thought Paige had done it. That's all I thought. Well, I thought that Scott had done it, but I don't know.
I'm not interested in your speculation. I'm interested in what Paige told you. Paige told you more than you're saying. And I can see that written all over your face. You just won't come out with it. And now I gotta believe it's because you're not, we've already established that you're more concerned about your son than Paige. Paige is basically trying to bend you over this table. And so the concern for her is out the window. So you must be trying to protect yourself. That's all I can figure.
I didn't have anything. I didn't go kill anyone. I didn't go shoot anyone.
Okay. I believe that part. That sounded believable. What do you know?
Fine. What I know is that Paige had this arranged. That's all I know.
How do you know that?
Because I put two and two together on all this. And because I've seen enough of what she's done, what she's told me she's done in the past, and what I've seen on there. She told me she used to run gangs and drugs and things here in Moses Lake. She said she had hundreds of people taken care of on there, up to an extent. That I never believed because I thought that was bullshit. That's what she said. You can believe me or not, I don't care. I can see you don't believe it's written on your face just as plain.
I'm struggling with it because you've been screwing around with this for over an hour.
Yeah, I know. I believe she had this arranged. She talked about it enough on there, having this arranged.
She talked about, you heard her talk
She talked about getting her out of the way. She talked about it'd be better if she was gone. She kept talking about that. And then she turns up dead on there.
Did she say that she wanted her dead?
A couple times she had insinuated she wanted her gone. After the fact, I thought she meant dead, because Des turned up dead.
Did she ever approach you and say, would you be willing to kill her for me?
No, she didn't. Because I've given her help, I've given her resources on it, but I'm not a killer.
Did she ever come to you and ask, did she say,
she felt
this
me
is
out.
my plan?
She felt me out on there before all this on there.
How did she fill you out?
She was asking me about, what would I be willing to do? How far would I be willing to go for things on there? And I gave her help. I gave her resources and stuff on there. I said I would always try to protect her on there. But she's thrown me under the bus on things, so I have no reason to do that.
That's right.
She borrowed my gun. She borrowed the car on there. She gave it back later. I didn't know if she'd killed anyone or not. But putting two to two together like a person on there, I had reasonable intelligence on there. I did figure that, hey, she'd probably done this on there.
When did you first make that connection in your mind?
After she gave the gun back and other things, and details of the case started coming out in the news and things like that.
What kind of details did you hear?
Just stuff in the news, Paige looking at articles. She looked at it on her phone when I was around. Things like that. She looked at it a couple times since then. She would check on it periodically. I looked at it periodically a couple times myself, just like, what's going on with this? Because, hey, it's the only person I ever knew that got murdered that I actually ever met in my life. So I looked it up a couple times on there.
Another piece of incriminating evidence the police have against Marty is his shoe prints. The shoe prints found at the murder scene were of an adult male, and the police matched them to Marty's shoe size.
You wear Dr. Scholl's shoes?
I have previously on there. It's probably still at my dad's if I haven't.
What size?
It varies on there I've worn from a 12 to a 14 on there usually.
12 to 14?
It depends on the style and fit.
You ever wear Dr. Scholl's with the Velcro over the top?
No, actually I don't. I don't like the Velcro shoes.
Have you ever had any?
I don't think so. I always buy tie-up basic shoes because I don't like the way Velcro shoes fit. I always find them loose. I like them tight on my ankle. I have weak ankles from being when I was a kid, so I don't buy the Velcro ones because they're really not my style.
There were some bloody shoe prints left at the crime scene the night of the murder. And they were Dr. Scholl's, obviously.
Since you're asking, yeah.
What are the odds you think that those will match your size foot?
I don't know. I don't have shoes like that anymore. I have bought them previously on there, but I wasn't there. So they shouldn't match my feet. I don't know who did this, so I don't know what size they have.
You have 2 pairs of Dr. Scholl's at your dad's house?
I think I have one left, I'm not sure. I have numerous work boots and everything else still, I think, but.
Is there anything else that you think that we should know about what happened to Desiree Sunford? Or anything that Paige has told you, or any rumors you've heard, anything you think we should know about what happened?
I don't know what else I can tell you on there. All I can do is tell you the truth on here because, yeah, I was trying to cover for Paige there. I believe that she did it or had someone do it. I didn't drive her anywhere that night. I didn't go there that night. I didn't shoot Desiree. I've never shot at anyone or shot anyone. The most I've ever was shot at was rabbits as a kid.
Grismer seems just now to be putting more effort into defending himself. Perhaps because the gravity of the accusation has finally hit him.
So you're willing to go to jail for the shooting. You're willing to go in front of a judge and tell him or her that you gave him the gun, you let her use your car, you have the right shoe size, your DNA may or may not be in the house, and then she's willing to go into court saying you said this, you said that, and all the evidence is basically on your shoulders.
I didn't kill anyone. I didn't drive her there. I didn't go there.
But you know what happened. You just don't want to tell us everything. You're walking up to the edge, and we're asking you to go to the edge. Walk through the door to decide the truth, and you're refusing to do that. That's what we're seeing right now. You're willing to do everything to save Paige. You're willing to sacrifice everything.
What kind of a person would I be if I did that?
Well, you're commendable for protecting Paige, and you're willing to take it all the way to the end. That's what I see.
Do you really believe that I'm that much of a fool?
Well,
because what other words?
I'm giving you every opportunity you can to tell us the truth. Detective Peralt's giving you every opportunity, and you piss away every time you get to a certain point. But then again, you get a little clarity, and you go, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I gave her the gun. Oh, okay, I've added up things."
Do you ever want to think anyone that you knew was capable of this? Of
But I'm not going to go to jail for him.
No.
I'm not going to jail for him.
I didn't drive her there.
I'm not necessarily saying you drove her. You know exactly what happened, Marty. You know exactly what happened.
How would I know exactly what happened?
Because you're involved up to your eyeballs in this case. All the evidence is on your shoulders right now. And a statement from somewhat related, yeah. Now we're going to send your swab to the lab. You know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we already have the gun barrel. And by now we've got the gun.
Yeah.
Because we got teams looking through your house and your dad's house. We didn't come over here. There's 15 people involved in this investigation going on right now.
Of course. You just all coordinate on there in case you think I'm going to hide evidence. That's logically what you would do. It's logically what I would do.
And you're willing to take it to the edge, protecting Paige. You're willing to take the fall for this case right now.
I don't want to take the fall for it.
Because you're hand and foot. Your foot is in our hand. We have you. You're going to jail. So you can protect Paige all you want.
I didn't kill anyone.
But you're going to jail.
What are you going to arrest me for?
First degree murder. Unless you want to tell us the truth.
So far, the detectives have refrained from allowing Grismer to make a denial. Furthermore, whenever he admitted to a lie, instead of leveraging his confession to extract more answers, they seem to tease him. Additionally, the detectives appear to be focused on obtaining a direct confession. They haven't put effort into employing psychological tactics or playing along to get the truth from Marty. It's possible that they could secure a more substantial confession if they employed a more strategic approach.
You could have lied about that.
Would you describe Paige as being pretty brilliant? Is she smart?
Yes, she is.
So she orchestrated this whole thing where from the beginning, she's talking to you about Desiree needs to go. And then she just happens to borrow your car, which just happens to be a rental. During the time that Desiree is killed, she just happens to have your gun on it with the barrel she got from you that's threaded for a silencer. And then she plays it cool for a year and a half or however long it was, and then all of a sudden, boom, the revelation was Marty. That was all planned from the beginning, you think? She's that brilliant?
I think she's betrayed. I think she feels betrayed by me.
Because you married Elizabeth.
From her text messages, from what she told me on there for things, for her accusing me of sexual harassment at work on there. I don't know when she did this, when she talked to you guys. I don't know.
Scott's betrayed her too. She came right into you saying Scott's living with another woman. Why not?
That she was cheating on her, yeah.
Why not throw him under the bus and put the gun in his hand?
I don't know. Maybe from the beginning she planned to play me. I don't know. She knew Scott before she knew me on there. She wanted to have children with him. I think she just wanted me to be the fall guy for all this. I think I was a pawn in all this, trying to use me to get what she could out of me to get this done.
Wow.
Why did you have a rental car?
I had a car accident.
You had a car accident?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that show up on the Carfax for your car?
It should.
Because I looked it up, and there's no collision on there. When was the collision?
It was the couple days before I was coming back from, I was over in Yakima on there. I think I was visiting Lori. Came back. There was a coyote that ran across the road on there. I swerved to avoid it on there. I hit 3 highway, those reflective markers on there. I had damage to the hood and side of my car.
Okay. Was it reported to law enforcement?
No, I just called my insurance on it.
What body shop fixed your car?
I think the Inland Auto in Moses Lake, I don't recall.
Yeah. Who did you get your rental car? Sorry.
My insurance arranged it.
Where did you drop it off? Your memory has gotten better as we went.
Again,
you're a sharp guy. Where
I dropped it off at the airport. I think it's Hertz. I don't recall. It's whatever one's out at the airport by the gas tanks out at the aviation.
How many are out there? Are there a whole bunch? I'm not familiar with Moses Lake. Is it one rental car company out there? Or?
I don't know either. I'm not familiar with the airport. I just think it's Hertz because I think that's the one that's out there.
Grismer's innocence plea continues to lack conviction, making the detectives to intensify their questioning, revealing this.
Did Paige or Scott ever say anything to you about the burglary that happened at his house the week before Desiree was killed?
She made a comment after that it was convenient.
Did she clarify that, or do you have any context?
For Des having been murdered on this, she said it was convenient. She said that she thought someone was trying to get information on her. I asked her why anyone would be trying to get information on her. She said she didn't know. She always indicated on there she thought she was going to die young.
Desiree or Paige?
Paige.
Paige thought she would die.
She thought someone was trying to get information on her or Scott or something on there. I don't know why, because she said the items that she knew was taken on there led her to believe that someone was trying to get information. She said something about why did they take electronics and stuff when his guitars and everything else were more easy to pawn. Which didn't make any sense to me, but I just recall her saying that.
So, is everything that you've told us now true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
As far as I know, yes. Is there anything else that you want to ask me?
Well, I want to know anything you know about Desiree Sunford being killed, or any plan that was in place to kill Desiree Sunford. So what I'm saying is, even if there's something that I didn't think to ask, I want you to tell me everything.
My brain, basically.
Yes. So I don't want to play word games. Yeah. If I didn't ask the specific right question to get you to say something, then come out with it.
I know, because I can tell you honestly, my things, I just pull back and clam up on things. I'm nervous as all hell about this.
Okay, and that's what, I don't want you to clam up. I want you to tell us everything, because like I say, we want to get to the truth. And if it's true that Paige is framing you and setting you up from the beginning, then I want to have as much information as possible to be able to prove that.
How could you not?
Well, that's why we need to know everything. Every little piece of information builds on something else. One little phone call led me to the gun barrel that was used to kill Desiree. You never know what piece of information is going to be the domino that makes the whole thing fall.
I get that, but what's going through my mind here is this is stuff that happened, a year and a half ago on there. It's my word against hers on all of it on there. what's going through my head is that I'm screwed for life here and I've done nothing. At least I think I've done nothing on there. Because I live alone, I lived alone on there. And I mean, I'm struggling in my own mind on there, trying to come up with anything I can think of on there that I can use to prove that I'm innocent on there. And it's hard on there because I can't think of anything that leaves a paper trail, anything that I can give you on there that can say, yeah, this is what happened on there with everything.
You can see Grismer hesitate with his answers, and his body language indicates that he does, in fact, know more than he's letting off. Also, Grismer's inability to challenge the accusation is also a major signal of guilt.
I didn't kill her. I didn't kill Des. I didn't drive Paige there.
Like you take the pro saying, we're not playing word games.
I know.
Maybe you didn't kill her. Maybe you didn't kill her. But you know a lot more than you're telling.
Do you know for a fact who did?
No, I don't.
Were you present that night?
No, I wasn't.
Do you know who was?
Answer carefully.
Answer honestly.
The best of my knowledge is that Paige had it arranged, that she had contracted to be killed in some way.
And who told you that?
Paige's conversations after the fact on there, and what she had said about how convenient it was and everything else on there. Did she ever come out clean and tell me that she arranged to have Des killed? She was careful about that and didn't say that. She hinted to that she had her taken care of on there.
Did she say how much money her contract was?
I don't know if it was for that. She didn't say. I don't know her finances beyond what I've helped her and given her. I thought she had it arranged in some way. She talked about people owing her favors like that from before. She did tell me once on the, if I ever crossed her, that, you know.
Did you ever cross her, what would happen?
That she'd have me taken care of.
So are you afraid to say anything that you're afraid you were going to be taken care of?
She told me on there that if I ever, crossed her or betrayed her on there, she'd have me taken care of. I took that to mean that she could have me killed.
On this specific issue?
No, not on this specific issue.
Has Paige ever shared with you the specifics about what happened to Desiree?
No.
Has anyone else ever talked to you about specifics about what happened to Desiree?
I don't know anyone that would know anything. So no.
So you're not necessarily protecting Paige, you're trying to protect yourself and your family from harm. So you're not going to tell us anything the truth. You're that scared of her?
The detective's comment is an attempt to provoke Grismer, perhaps hoping to elicit a confession by implying that he's afraid of Desiree. This tactic can sometimes prompt suspects to reveal more information if they are indeed hiding something.
Am I that afraid of her?
That's the question.
Yes, I am afraid of her. I'm petrified on there.
So is that why you're not telling us the truth? Is that what you're going to tell the judge?
I've told you everything I know on there about this. You think that I know more?
Yeah, I do. I mean, now you came up with that last little tidbit, 2 hours and 5 minutes into it, that I'm afraid of her. Because she's threatened me. If I say anything, she's going to have me killed. That's powerful. And I would understand that.
Do you know what she's led me to believe about what she can do or what she could do? I mean, she's talked about the motorcycle gangs and the people that owe her favors. She's talked about Ivan Capitillo, who, son's father on there, what he was involved with. And how he had people taken care of on there. She's given me lots of reasons over the entire time I've known her to not try to cross her on there. That's the only reason why I never came forward before on anything on there, was I didn't want to die. I didn't want her to think that I'd given her up.
Let me ask you this now that that's out there. Do you feel, is just yes or no, are you holding anything back now out of fear of Paige?
Yes, probably. I don't know though.
Okay, now I think maybe some people communicate different ways, and you were telling me the way your mind works, you're concerned that I asked you just the right question. But right now I'm worried about the big picture stuff, okay? The big picture stuff is, did you kill Desiree? No, you say no. Do you know who did kill Desiree?
I have a good idea that Paige had it done.
Okay, were you present when she was killed?
No.
Were you involved in or aware of the planning of Desiree's death?
Not beforehand, and no.
Okay.
I mean, after the fact on, I figured on there that she had done something.
Has Paige ever confessed to you that she killed Desiree or had her killed?
She gave me the impression on there that she had it arranged. She didn't say, yes, I had her killed. She didn't say that she'd done that, but she gave me the impression when I asked about that after the fact with the guns and everything else, after I got it back, I'd asked you, did you do something with this? Why did you ask for my gun? Why'd you do this on there?
And she said what?
She told me not to ask anymore, just leave it alone. Don't ask any more questions about this. Asked her what the hell was going on with that. She told me on there to stop asking questions and forget about it. Or you could be gone just as easily.
So you're holding things back because you're totally afraid of it.
This woman has given me every impression on her that she's had many people killed over the years.
She should have had you killed months ago, and since you knew about the gun. You pressed her about it.
I asked her about it.
You think she's that stupid saying, hey, he figured it out. Maybe I ought to take care of him too.
I don't know. I don't know why she wanted to keep me around. Maybe for this exact scenario. Maybe for you guys coming down on her and figuring it out so that she could use me on there and get out of it. That's the only thing that makes any sense in my mind on there. Is that she wants me to be the scapegoat.
Knowing that you won't say a word.
Marty starts pulling every trick in the book, giving stories of Paige being a killer, yet at the same time avoiding directly providing information about the case.
I believe Paige had it done. I don't know if she did it. I don't know if she had someone do it. I don't know. That's the impressions I got, is that she had it arranged.
So what else are you holding back?
She made a comment about her body being dumped in Banks Lake. Some Russian guy from years ago on there that crossed some hooker that she knew. She told me that. She told me about, killing people's families and things like that. That terrifies the fuck out of me.
When did she tell you all that?
She told me that after all of this.
That she's killed many people and
that she's had people
in the lake?
She dumped some. She said it was the one that she was the most proud of on there because it had something to do with some. She said something about Interpol on there and it wasn't caught. This guy was dumped in Banks Lake, and I don't know if that's complete bullshit or she's just puffing me full of smoke on there, blowing smoke in my ass, or get colon cancer on shit. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. Honestly, I have no idea what to believe out of her, what's true and what's not, what's a game.
Okay, so going back to the big picture, just globally, don't get hung up on, did I tell them every minutia about every conversation I ever had with Paige, okay? Don't get hung up on that. Just thinking big picture, knowing that I'm worried about the global stuff, the big picture stuff. is Marty involved? Did he know about this? Okay. Do you feel like you told me everything and you told me the truth about everything you know?
I feel I told you the truth as far as I know on there, yes.
Okay. And do you believe that you would pass a polygraph at this time based on those big, global, big picture questions? If you had to answer those yes or no, do you believe that you would pass a polygraph?
I believe I would pass a polygraph.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think I should know about? Anything, any big thing that's jumping out in your mind? Oh, I should have told him this. Keeping in mind that I don't need to know about every detail about every conversation you had. I think you're getting a little hung up.
I am, because how can I not get hung up on you?
Well, I'm sure you're in a bad spot. And
these details of my life, I mean, I'm sure I probably lost my job and everything else. I mean, I have no savings left. I have nothing else left on there. This is a threat to my actual life.
Did you come into a big amount of money anytime after Desiree was killed?
No.
You never had like a big bump in your savings or anything?
No, I had a lot of savings on because I lived low with my dad. I saved up a lot of money. I plowed money into my 401k. I had $50,000 in my bank at one point on there. I'd drawn that down over the years.
That's gone now. After a wife and kids will do that. Or a kid.
Wife, kid, paying off all her debts, everything else on there.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to initial this here and sign down here.
Marty kept denying any involvement in the crime, claiming that Scott and Paige were trying to set him up. Unfortunately for Grismer, the evidence spoke against him. His gun and footprint placed him at the scene of the murder, leading to his charge for Desiree's murder. Grismer entered an Alford plea, indicating that while he did not admit guilt, he acknowledged that the evidence against him was damning. Consequently, he received a 15-year prison sentence. The case has sparked debate, with some arguing that Grismer deserved a harsher sentence, while others believe that he was an innocent man set up by Paige. Scott Sunford and Paige Blades remain free due to insufficient evidence against them. Now, if you think this case was horrific, you need to check out my video on the case where the husband killed his wife after she discovered his closeted secret.